He was just a tired single dad, following 3 giggling triplets down a hospital hallway. One wrong door. One dying woman. One moment that froze his heart. She whispered something that changed his life forever. And 1 year later, he married her. Mark was already exhausted when that day began. Being a single father to triplets was never easy, especially inside a busy hospital. His 3 daughters, Lily, Emma, and Rose, were only 5 years old and full of unstoppable energy. They had come for a routine checkup, but the hospital corridors quickly turned into a playground in their eyes. "Girls, slow down," Mark called out, holding a file in one hand and a bag in the other. The triplets laughed and ran ahead, their identical shoes tapping loudly against the shiny hospital floor. Mark followed closely, turning a corner just in time to see them slip through an open door. "Wait, wrong room," he said, rushing after them. But it was already too late. Mark stepped inside and froze. The room was quiet. Too quiet. The cheerful hospital noise outside disappeared the moment the door closed. Sunlight streamed softly through the window, falling on a woman lying on the bed. She looked pale, weak, and tired, but there was a calm smile on her face. The girls stopped running. Instead of laughing, they stood still, staring at the woman with curious eyes. "I'm sorry," Mark said quickly, embarrassed. "My kids." Before he could finish, the woman spoke gently. "It's okay," she said. Her voice was soft but steady. "They can stay." Mark looked at her, surprised. He noticed the medical machines beside her bed, the chart hanging nearby, and the quiet heaviness in the air. This wasn't just any room. This was a room where time moved slowly. The triplets walked closer to the bed. "You look sad," Emma said innocently. The woman smiled again. "I'm not sad. I'm just tired." Lily tilted her head. "Are you sick?" Mark felt his chest tighten. He stepped forward. "Girls, that's not." "I am sick," the woman said calmly, cutting him off. "But I'm happy you came in." That was when something strange happened. Rose reached out and held the woman's hand. Her small fingers wrapped gently around the woman's pale ones. The woman's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry. She just looked at Mark. "You have beautiful children," she said. Mark swallowed hard. "Thank you. I'm really sorry. We didn't mean to disturb you." "You didn't," she replied. "Today was very quiet. I think I needed this." Mark didn't know why, but he felt rooted to the floor. Something about her presence felt familiar, even though he was sure they had never met before. A nurse knocked lightly on the door. "Visiting hours are almost over," she said softly, then glanced at the children and smiled. Mark nodded. "We'll go." As he turned to leave, the woman spoke one last time. "Sir," she said. Mark looked back. "Sometimes," she whispered, "the wrong door takes you to the right moment." Mark didn't understand her words then. But as he followed his triplets back into the hallway, his heart felt heavier, and strangely warmer, than before. He had no idea that this accidental meeting was only the beginning. Mark didn't expect the woman from the hospital room to stay in his thoughts. Yet that night, after the triplets had fallen asleep, her calm smile kept returning to his mind. Her words echoed softly in his heart, "Sometimes the wrong door takes you to the right moment." The next day, Mark found himself back at the hospital. He told himself it was just curiosity. Maybe even guilt. He asked the nurse at the desk about the woman in room 314. "She doesn't get many visitors," the nurse said quietly. "Her name is Sarah." Mark thanked her and walked toward the room, his steps slow and uncertain. When he knocked, the familiar soft voice answered, "Come in." Sarah looked surprised, but genuinely happy, to see him. "I wanted to check on you," Mark said honestly. "My girls keep asking about you." Sarah smiled. "That means more than you know." From that day on, Mark began visiting often. Sometimes he came alone. Sometimes he brought the triplets, who filled the quiet room with drawings, stories, and laughter. The hospital room that once felt heavy slowly became warmer, lighter. Sarah told Mark about her life. She had been a teacher. She loved books, rainy afternoons, and quiet music. She spoke openly about her illness, but never with bitterness. Instead, she spoke with peace, as if she had already accepted whatever tomorrow held. Mark shared his own story too, how his wife had passed away years ago, how raising triplets alone had shaped his entire world, and how loneliness often followed him even in crowded places. "You're stronger than you realize," Sarah told him one afternoon. "I don't feel strong," Mark admitted. "I just keep going." "That's strength," she said softly. Weeks passed. Then months. Sarah's condition didn't magically improve. There were good days and difficult ones. But Mark never stopped coming. Neither did the girls. They celebrated small moments, birthdays with paper crowns, quiet evenings with stories, and laughter that echoed softly against hospital walls. One evening, Sarah looked at Mark with serious eyes. "Promise me something," she said. "Anything," Mark replied without hesitation. "If I don't get the tomorrow I hope for," she said carefully, "promise you'll keep living fully. Promise you won't close your heart again." Mark felt his throat tighten. "I promise." Sarah smiled, satisfied. Time moved on in ways Mark never expected. Against all odds, Sarah's condition slowly stabilized. Treatments began to work. Hospital stays became shorter. Then one day, she wasn't in the hospital room anymore. She was outside, walking beside Mark and holding the triplets' hands. 1 year after that accidental meeting, Mark stood in a quiet garden, watching Sarah walk toward him in a simple white dress. The triplets scattered flower petals down the path, smiling wider than ever. Mark realized then that love didn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it walked in quietly, through the wrong door, at the right moment. And this time, he was ready.